So, the translations are out for My Hero Academia, manga chapter 318, and let me just say that this chapter has shocking reveals, new characters, and potentially old characters coming back into the fray to help Deku, and we're gonna talk about all of those things in this video, right after this intro. Hit it! Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew here, coming at you with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review. This time reviewing manga chapter 318, titled Dark Cloud. Ooh, ominous. It seems as if Deku's mind is going to be clouded in darkness, perhaps. Ooh. But overall, when it comes to this chapter of My Hero Academia, this is once again a very good chapter with a lot of good stuff to talk about. Inside of it, we get some stuff with Endeavor, we get Deku with the vestiges, we even get Deku fighting off a brand new villain that we kind of saw a silhouette of a few chapters ago, and we get a shocking revelation at the end of this chapter. And I'm actually going to save it to the end, but if you've already seen potentially this title as well as the thumbnail, you probably already know what's going to go on. So without the way, before I get more into the review, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't done so, to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you like My Hero Academia content, I like to talk about My Hero Academia, the manga, do discussions, talk about the spoilers, do all that cool stuff. So if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Alright, without the way, let's get right into the review. So, when it comes to this chapter, we actually start off with something that's very interesting. We start off with just a simple conversation between Deku and Endeavor, where Endeavor basically tells Deku that other pro heroes from all over the world are coming to Japan to basically help, and that Deku doesn't have to do everything on his own. But unfortunately, as we know, Deku responds with everything's fine, he can still move, and that he's going to try and stop the villains from being able to prepare their major plans. So this kind of shows that Deku, even though he may be offered help from Endeavor as well as other pro heroes, he's still putting the burden on himself, the burden of stopping Shigaraki, of stopping All For One, stopping the League of Villains. He's putting it all on his shoulders and taking it upon himself, even to the point where we also get a panel where we see the vestiges telling him to take a break. His wounds have not healed. He needs to stop pushing himself, but unfortunately, he still doesn't do it. And I think something interesting that I am noticing with the vestiges is that every time we see them coming off as the smoke coming off of Deku's body. So I'm starting to realize that maybe that instead of it being sort of like a metaphysical thing of them coming out and speaking to him, that they're actually coming out of his body through his smokescreen and like physically talking to him and not talking to him just in his head. That's just a thought. But even so, we cut more into the vestiges. We actually cut from Deku after his dangerousness goes off and he goes to the location of where some people are in danger. We actually cut back inside of Deku, inside of the world of One For All, where we have Nanashimura, Daigoro Banjo, as well as the fourth user, I forget his name, but they're basically talking and basically coming to a realization that, yeah, the reason why Deku is doing all of this may be kind of their fault, either through their feelings, through their actions, or through the fact that Deku just wants to unlock and master One For All, as we have them all saying a little tidbit. But then we also get an image and a panel of All Might in his vestige form, and it appears as if he's saying something about how what superheroes are supposed to do and how they're supposed to help people. But I think that may be a misdirection in the chapter, in which this dialogue is actually coming from the second user, because as soon as we see that line of dialogue, we immediately go over to the second user, who is completely in disagreement with all of the other vestiges, basically saying that what Deku is doing is right, and that this is the burden and this is what he must do as a wielder of One For All. He must be pushing through all of this pain, pushing through all of this trial and tribulation to get the job done. This is very interesting because this shows that still the second user, either he still doesn't completely trust Deku, or that he's so committed to his goal that he's ignoring the fact that Deku is really hurting himself. And this is even something that not necessarily that the third user brings up, but the third user like talks to the second user, refers to him as leader, most likely trying to get the idea that maybe we're pushing Deku a little bit too far, even to the point where, as the second user talks about how this is something that Deku should be doing and he's doing the right thing, he also looks back at the first user and the second user. He tells them, yeah, but maybe there are ways that we can help Izuku Midoriya. And I think that could be tying into the second user's quirk. Maybe that his quirk has the ability to help Deku overcome, not necessarily like all of the stress that he's going through, but maybe be a quirk that can help him maybe heal faster. Maybe it can provide him with support, like either emotionally, maybe mentally, maybe physically, we don't know. But there's something going on with that line coming from the second user, most likely referring hopefully to his quirk, or it could be referring to something that we see at the end of the chapter. We just don't know yet because we don't know a lot about the second user, but hopefully we're getting a little bit more information about him. So yeah, we go from the conversation between the vestiges in the vestige world back to the real world, where we see Deku fighting off these villains, trying to protect some people, as we have this one woman looking at Deku and just thinking, with this expression of just nothing but fear and like scaredness on her face, where she looks at Deku, is just thinking, all for one support, and he has multiple quirks. And Deku has to immediately tell her, no, I'm actually not, of course not, I'm actually a good guy, even though I don't look like it, I'm totally a hero, just trust me. And they totally do, which, I mean, to be fair, he literally scares off a group of villains that were attacking them. So yeah, even though he does have multiple quirks, and people may think that he's associated with All For One, the fact that he's saving them will be proof that, oh yeah, he's not associated with the villains, because if he was, he wouldn't have saved us. So yeah, they eventually are able to get away, but Deku begins to sense another danger, so he goes off. And from here, we basically get just Deku coming to this realization, coming to this inner dialogue about how he needs to stop Shigaraki, he needs to find All For One, he needs to stop, and he needs to find the League of Villains, but that he needs to do this so that he can not worry his friends, not worry his family, as we get to see images of Deku's mother. We also get to see images of All Might, of Gran Torino, as Deku is thinking about them. And he's thinking about this as he's fighting a villain, as he's just trying to like get by. His body is weighing down on him, but the main thing that is really keeping him motivated for him to be able to do all of this is so that he can actually go back to his normal life, go back to his friends, where he can smile with them, as we get this one page where we see everyone from class 1A, which technically now they would be class 2A, as that is his motivation for moving forward. The reasoning why he's able to keep going through the pain, going through the bloodshed, going through all of his broken bones, his wounds, is that his main goal is not just to stop Shigaraki, to stop All For One, but to stop them so that he can return back to smiling with his friends, as we see that Deku has now basically reached his limit, not just mentally but physically, as we see that he's beginning to stumble in the rain, as we get someone basically talking about how he's being reckless and impatient and how he's at the brink of exhaustion, as he predicted, coming from what we are later revealed to be Dictator, as he's referring to All For One, how he apparently predicted that this was going to happen to Deku, because of course he would. He predicts everything that Deku does, not just because Deku is predictable, but because All For One is an evil madman. So now we get towards the end of the chapter, where we're reintroduced, or introduced for the first time, to the quirk user of Dictator, named Dictator, which we eventually get a sort of explanation for how his quirk works, as he's giving his monologue to Deku, as Deku saying that he's going to stop him and gather more information from him about All For One, as Dictator's like, oh, if you really want to, then you have to fight me, also against the people that I control, because we eventually learned that Dictator's quirk, as explained by Deku in probably the most Deku way possible, which is that it's similar to Shinzo's quirk, where he can control people, and from what we see, he can most likely control people through like small threads coming off of his body, but by doing so, he's able to force them to do whatever he wants, and that a giant blow to the actual user or to the victims can cause it to be undone. And you may be thinking, oh, because he knows this, it's very simple, and he only knows this because he remembers the incident where Crust brought down Dictator through the bloodless surrender incident. Because of course Deku would know this. He's a fanboy about heroes. He would know every little small detail about all the villains, especially the number 1 and the top 10 heroes. So it makes sense that he would know this information. But even though he knows this information, he still gets swarmed by the people, and that's because he also comes to that realization that he doesn't have the capability of putting down these minor like people in a way that doesn't hurt them. He can't use Black Whip because it's too powerful, and he can't use Air Force to take out Dictator because his gloves are ripped, because he's been going hard the entire time and they're gone and turned into these claw-like entities that cannot really do anything. And as this is happening, and as Deku is being surrounded by all of these people, he's hearing the people saying that they don't want to do this, and that he eventually wants to free them, and that he'll be able to do it when he thinks of a solution. But this is all happening when the people are all glumped and on him, and that there's really nothing that he can do unless he hurts the people, which he can't do because he wants to protect them. So Deku is in a horrible situation, but all of a sudden we hear the single word of bastard as an AP shot goes off, hits Dictator in the head, as we get the reveal that Bakugo has come to the rescue, as he says that I found him, guys, implying that the other members of Class 2A are also here and coming to Deku's rescue as the chapter ends. So, all in all, when it comes to this chapter, like I said, we got a lot of major reveals. We get the reveal that we're going to get more pro heroes from overseas coming into America. Hopefully we'll get Captain Celebrity from Vigilantes coming to the rescue, another pseudo Superman character coming to help from America, but most likely we're going to get more explanation of other heroes from other different countries. We may get a hero from China, a hero from Africa, from South America, from Europe, from Australia, from Antarctica, maybe not Antarctica, but we're going to get a hero most likely from every continent coming into the world, Japan, to basically help and try to attempt to stop All For One. So that's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see more of those heroes coming in. We've seen some silhouettes of them, so I can't wait to see them more in the story proper. But we also get more understanding that Deku has pushed himself to a limit where he, even though he's trying to help people, he's still like causing fear, and that his main objective isn't necessarily to like, oh, just be this happy-go-lucky hero that like inspires hope into the people. No, his goal is to stop All For One and to return back to his friends so that he's able to smile with them at any cost, even if it means like destroying his body, even if it means not being able to heal, not eating properly, not sleeping, to the point of like his body being run down to the point of exhaustion. As the story shows, All For One predicted that because he kind of understands the type of person that Deku is, and we as the readers also would have predicted that this would have happened. Deku is a type of person that doesn't stop when he has a goal in mind. He will always move forward to achieving that goal, even if it means breaking his body or physically exhausting himself, as we've seen here, even to the point where Dictator, a new character that we get to see, realizes this as well and is able to use his quirk to the advantage of being able to stop Deku, knowing that he would not hurt them, and that the only reason why he probably was able to do this and why Deku was able to get out of this situation is because Bakugo was there. So from here, we're most likely next chapter going to get more of Class 2A. We're going to see Bakugo most likely taking out Dictator, but we're also most likely going to get other characters like probably Uraraka, Momo, Kirishima, Shoto, all of the Class 1A kids or Class 2A kids, helping to like secure the people, make sure that they don't hurt Deku anymore, and they will most likely have a conversation with Deku, basically telling him that he doesn't have to do this alone and that they're here to back him up, because they also know, remember, they also know about All For One and One For All. So now Deku doesn't have to hide anything from them, and they can help him find the League of Villains and stop All For One. So yeah, it's going to get very interesting next chapter. Unfortunately, we're going to be on break next week, so hopefully I can have a video for y'all on Friday that is My Hero Academia related, most likely for another manga My Hero Academia adjacent related, so hopefully y'all can wait for that moment. So yeah, overall, really enjoyed this chapter. Thought it was very interesting. We got a lot more insight into Deku as a character, as well as a little bit more insight into the Vestiges as characters. We get to see more of Deku's resolve and his real goal, which is to stop Shigaraki, stop All For One, and get back with his friends. We also got a little bit of information about more heroes coming into the country, and the reveal that Bakugo and Class 2A, Deku's friends, are here to help him save the day. So yeah, that's pretty much all that was in this chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. Hopefully it was very informative. Hopefully I was able to put some new ideas into your head that you can probably consider. And if I did, leave your thoughts down in the comments down below. Talk about this chapter. What did you think about this chapter? What did you like? What did you dislike? What did you think that it could have done better? Leave your thoughts down below. Also, leave a like in this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I upload more My Hero Academia content, if that's what you're looking for. So yeah, do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!